So today what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to use Excel to enter data. So the first thing you want to do is you want to open up an Excel file, and this spreadsheet we're going to use to enter data and ultimately make a graph. Um, Excel is organized, if you've never used it before, any spreadsheet, where the numbers on the left-hand side represent the different rows, and the columns at the top, these letters represent each column. It's kind of like an address for like when you're playing Battleship. So B2 represents this cell right here. So what we're going to want to do, because we want to make a graph of position versus time, that means we're going to have it as in the format of y versus x. So position is going to be on the y-axis and time is going to be on the x-axis. So that will be our ultimate goal, which we won't get to until the next video. So we're going to start off by entering our data. So in A1, we're going to type in time in seconds. Because we want time to be on the x-axis, we're going to want it on the left-hand side. Next, we're going to put position in meters. Now, one thing to notice, it just kind of bled over into the next cell, which since there's nothing in C1 right now, that doesn't really matter. But if there was, that would start to become a problem. An easy way to do it, we can just click up here between the B and the C, and we can drag this to make it bigger or smaller, however we like. A quicker way, though, is just point up here between B and C and double click. That will automatically size it to make sure that everything that's currently in column B will fit. You put more stuff in later that changes that size, that wouldn't work. All right, so now we're going to enter the times. The times, if you look on the printed sheet that's on Schoology, you'll see that they go up from 1 to 10 and then skip to 80. So we can type those in one at a time. But you see, this is going to take a little bit of time to do that. And then type 80 as the last one. Now, a faster way to do that, I'm going to click all this and hit delete to clear it, is if I tell it just the first 1 and 2, Excel's smart enough to realize that there might be a pattern going on here. So if I click, notice where I'm clicking and dragging in the middle of the cell. That's how they highlight, and I could do that for more if I wanted to. So now that that's highlighted, this small square in the bottom right-hand corner, this little corner, if I click and grab it and drag it down, notice to the next to it, it says 3, 4, 5, all the way down. So what it's doing is it's recognizing the pattern is we're increasing by ones. Now, it didn't know, though, that we wanted that last one not to be an 11, but we want it to be an 80. So that one we're going to have to do on our own. All right. Now, the position column next to it, you see that goes from 5 up to 55. So that does increase by 5s as well. So we can see that same kind of pattern. Highlight these, click on that small square in the bottom right-hand corner and drag it down. This autofill is really powerful and makes it really helpful to use Excel. Now, I'm going to show you another way we could do that same thing, though. We could use what's a formula. So if I type equals, that's going to tell Excel I want to do some kind of calculation. And what I can do is I can click on the cell above it, and that will tell it I'm going to take this number, whatever is in B2 right now, and I want to add 5 to it. Now, that formula that I just entered should have appeared up here in the formula bar. I'm not quite sure why it didn't. There it is. Okay, so there's our formula. Now, yes, I could keep doing that, typing that same formula in, but again, autofill is our friend here. Click on the small square in the bottom right-hand corner and drag that formula down. Notice I didn't highlight the first one, just the second one, because there was no formula in the first one. And you see that formula comes all the way down. And notice how that formula changes as it goes down. It went B2, B3, this is B4, B5, B6 plus 5. So when you drag a formula, what happens is it keeps everything that's in that. Since it's staying all in the same column, it's keeping the B all the same. It's staying the same column, but every cell it goes down, it's going to look at the next cell down, the next cell down, the next cell down. The opposite would be if we dragged it to the right, then what we would see is the row would stay the same, but the column would change in that calculation. All right, so next we want to create a column for time squared over here. And notice seconds will get squared as well. When I type that, you see how it's not actually squaring that. So I've got a couple options here. One is I can highlight the 2, right-click, format cells, and superscript that. That would be one option. Another option is I could highlight the 2 and click up here where it says font and superscript. You can see there is also a shortcut for that, Control-Shift-F, but it's easier just to come up here and click on that. And notice it's superscripted up here. One thing to be careful of, though, or be aware of, you could obviously add another button up here that would be superscript. So if you're going to do it enough times, you might want to add that. All right, so the time squared column should be that exactly. We're going to square the time. I know these numbers are quite easy. You could probably square them in your head, but we're not always going to have such nice numbers. So to do that, I'm not going to get out my calculator and do 1 times 1. I'm not even going to type 1 times 1 here. I'm going to click on this cell, so it's A2 times A2, and 1 is represented by that A2. So I hit enter, and you see that comes in. Again, if that's all it was, Excel is not worth it. But the fact that I have this small square in the bottom right-hand corner and I can drag that down is really why we want to use Excel. They're all filled in automatically. They're all the number over here squared. I did equals A2 times A2. You could also do equals A2 caret 2, just like you would maybe on your calculator. And I drag that down and you can see nothing changed when I did that. All right, so we're going to stop here and move on to more formulas in our next video.